Over a year ago, we took a look at times when esports players had been fined for strange reasons. Since then, things have changed and more situations have occurred. So today, we take a look at 5 more players who were fined, including a situation that involved a dog. But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by Summoner's War. Summoner's War is a turn-based RPG with over 110 million downloads. For years, they've provided endless entertainment to their players. They have over 1,000 unique monsters to collect, your own customizable Sky Island, and weekly in-game events, always giving you something new to explore. Currently, they are celebrating their 7-year anniversary with a new event where you can earn points in-game to collect over 100 different rewards. So whether you're a returning player or a new player, it's never too late to start playing. Use the first link in the description to download Summoner's War today. Getting the video started with number 5, we get fined for wearing the wrong socks. On February 6, 2021, the world champion Doinby received a fine for disordered clothing. However, on this day, this is how the team was dressed. Everyone was matching and they were all wearing their team's apparel. So what's the problem? Well, if you look close enough, you can see that Doinby is the only one wearing yellow socks. Now, as ridiculous as it sounds, the issue didn't specifically come from the color of the socks. Instead, the LPL and all of their teams are closely sponsored by Nike. So the issue here seems to be that he was wearing socks that weren't endorsed by the brand. And believe it or not, this actually isn't exclusive to esports. Back in the 2018 World Cup, there had been players who were fined over $50,000 for wearing socks that weren't authorized by, again, Nike, the tournament sponsor. Even in the NFL, players had been fined for wearing the wrong socks that didn't cover enough of their legs. So as silly as it sounds, socks are a serious business. Moving on with number 4, getting fined for forgetting to take smite. On June 15th, 2020, a player from eStar Gaming of the LPL straight up forgot to take smite in a professional game. Now obviously accidents happen, so my concern here is why weren't they allowed to restart? I watched the game and before the match started, you can see that there was some sort of pause in the broadcast. And allegedly, it seems that eStar did request to remake the game as they made a mistake. But for whatever reason, the referees did not allow the game to be remade. Personally, I don't know why this happened. It's definitely not about wasting time because they wasted almost 10 minutes coming to their conclusion, when the problem could have been solved in 2 minutes max. And if you remember in a previous video, I told you guys about the time a game was remade because a player picked the wrong skin. However, forgetting to take smite is a way bigger problem. Even the commentators were basically admitting that the game was lost because they didn't have smite.
Nice word placement though from BLG to spot out any sort of oh way. Oh no, he took ignite.
What a way to go.
Oh no. Like
I don't even know what to say about that, mate. There's a concept, right, of losing the game in draft. This is like a very extreme version of losing the game in draft. Because it's nothing to do with the champions. They just picked the wrong summoner spell.
And yeah, they lost. They actually made it closer than expected, to be fair. But to make matters worse, Wei, the player who forgot smite, was fined a month's salary for his mistake. The team made a whole announcement addressing the issue. However, I do think it's pretty odd how this statement begins by blaming the player, and then the coaching staff, and then finally saying that this will be a warning. But what's the point of saying this will be a warning when you're already taking a month's worth of salary from the guy? Memes aside, I think this was a badly handled situation. Like I said, if you play jungle, you probably relate. This is a mistake that could happen to anyone. And I most certainly think they shouldn't lose a month's worth of pay for such a mistake. But I guess rules are rules. Remember to take smite. Now for number 3, we take a look at a player who was punished for abusing an in-game bug. Sometimes when the game is updated, very rarely there can be bugs that would benefit a player. For example, a while back there was this bug on Yasuo which allowed you to have a 0-second cooldown on your Q. This was done by changing your camera at the right time. Some super spaghetti code stuff. But the question becomes, is it cheating if you're just using what's available to you in the game? Well, in the esports world, we got an answer. The player Leyen from Vici Gaming was caught abusing a bug in his ranked games. Before I continue, take a look at it yourself and tell me if what he did was fair or not. Yeah, that's pretty messed up. Essentially, this is another spaghetti code situation where you had to smite 4 times, then use your last smite while recalling, and after that you sell your jungle item, and now you literally kill every jungle camp in one shot. But here's where this gets interesting. Although Leyen is a professional player, he was abusing this bug in solo queue games, not on stage. Despite that fact, he was still severely punished. He was fined for 3 months of his salary, banned from participating in 3 upcoming tournaments, suspended in his next 2 regular season matches, and on top of everything, they went ahead and also banned his account. So yeah, that was really not worth it. Now for number 2, I want to touch on 2 separate fines that are short, but still interesting. Starting with a player who was fined for Alt F4ing before the game actually ended. You know when you've won or lost a game, the Nexus is exploding and you see names pop up saying they've disconnected? Well, Riot apparently does not want their pro players to do that. In a game between the Golden Guardians and Dignitas, the player Niles left the game before it technically finished, and he was fined a solid $1,000 for doing this. Now secondly, kind of a weird one, but a player was fined for having a low battery mouse. This one kind of makes sense. The players who come on stage are supposed to be responsible for their own mouse and keyboards. So if they use a wireless mouse, they're responsible for making sure that it's charged. This situation happened in the LPL to a player on Top Esports. But although sounding somewhat unfair, the reason for this fine was because the team had previously already been warned about bringing a mouse with low battery. So after the second offense, they were fined. Still, a silly reason to lose out on some money. Alright, finishing the video off with number 1, we take a look at what is likely the most ridiculous reason for why a team has ever been fined. Let me get straight into it. The infraction was committed by this team from Serbia playing in the Esports Balkan League. Due to their actions, they were fined 50% of their end of season winnings. So basically, all the money they'd win in that season would be slashed in half. Now, what could they have possibly done to receive this punishment? Well, the title of the offense was, quote, indecent exposure of a puppy during an interview. And yes, this literally refers to an actual dog. Apparently, and I say apparently because the official stream has since been taken down, it seems that the players were doing some sort of interview from their house after a game, and they started showing their dog. However, the issue comes from the fact that they were apparently purposely showing the dog's genitals to the camera. This is part of the official statement that I found to be pretty funny. Obi didn't create any issue. Obi is an awesome dog, but the issue comes from a member of the team who shoved only a certain part of Obi into the camera in the later part of the interview with sarcastic comments like, "What are you doing? A bad dog, shame on you." I found only one Reddit thread discussing the situation, and although it wasn't that popular of a thread, all of the comments seemed to be appalled of whatever was in that video.
What the fuck? Is this real? That environment looks toxic. Christ. I thought it was something mundane like the puppy licking its ass on the camera.
So maybe it was a good thing that it no longer exists. Also, if their punishment seems too severe, it appears that they had already had 2 previous behavior infractions. So remember, charge your mouse, don't forget smite, wear the right socks, don't leave the game before it's finished, keep your dog away from the camera, and most of all, subscribe if you haven't already. A lot of you are not subscribed. And I'll see you again next week.